Commence primary ignition.
Hey, this is Okitahi. I play Dr. Pershing, and you are watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday, Rebels.
Happy Monday. What is going on this evening?
Welcome to the show, everyone. As you can see, we have a special guest host tonight, all the way from the Thursday night watch along. Please welcome Dave O'Neill. Yay!
Not Ashley, right
Yes.
here. Not
Ashley has the night off. She is on assignment. So Dave is always behind the scenes doing things. So it is, and he's actually producing tonight as well. So he'll be keeping an eye on everything in the comments. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join and check in. We are live on the Virtual Cantina YouTube channel, the celebration, the Star Wars Celebration Facebook page, which is very exciting, as always. And then new to the mix is Instagram. So if anyone wants to check out what's going on Insta. And I see that Spencer is here. Welcome back from the Bahamas, Spencer. Hope you had a great trip.
Isn't it, though? This is special for this right there.
So what's on the shirt, Dave? Tell everyone about your shirt.
So this is the Beard Batch. When we did Bad Batch season 1, we went ahead and, dubbed like all of our faces. Those of us.
I remember seeing that, and I saw the Beard Batch multiple times in messages. I didn't realize the shirts were made too. That's awesome.
Oh yes, we have shirts. There are some. This one's an exclusive. They're only the Beard Batch members, I believe, have this one.
I have a little stubble. I'm the stubble squad.
Well, patch in, man. Let's go. We'll get you one.
Oh no.
But take a look at the our TeePublic page, and you can get the classic Beard Batch seasons 1 and 2. I think are still available on the page. We are working on season 3. It's coming.
I've seen some graphics pop in for that.
Crew of people that are going into that one. So
yes, very cool. Well, welcome tonight to all of our Beard Batchers, including Sherry and John. Thanks for joining us. We are going to be talking Bad Batch, and I was originally thinking it would be an episode that would connect to Rebels in some form, because Bad Batch is like a little bit connected to Rebels, more so to the Clone Wars, obviously. But as we were reviewing episodes 1 through 3, it was becoming very clear that this was even less connected to Rebels than everything else, but not even that well connected to Clone Wars, and more so connected to The Mandalorian. I think more than anything else. And then,
well, that's why I played Dr. Pershing in the intro there, right there, because that's highly appropriate.
Oh yeah, the head of cloning in the Mandalorian time period, and this episode, or these 3 episodes, this little mini arc that they gave us, is all about cloning. And aside from just Omega and the Bad Batch members themselves being clones, we spent a lot of time on Mount Tantus, more than I think most people would have imagined when they were reading about Mount Tantus sometime in the 1990s. Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know that people way back when thought that this was going to be that much of a huge thing. I think, but see, that's what Dave and John do, is they bring back bits of the EU. We're not going as far as Luke quite yet, that kind of cloning silliness yet. I said yet.
God help me.
Yeah. But we are going a long way to explain how somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, the most memeable moment of the entire sequel trilogy, somehow Palpatine returned, which is in every Screen Crush video. And I love me some Screen Crush. Ryan Airy is terrific. He's my spirit animal. He swoops in into everything. We are doing a lot of heavy lifting to justify what I think is something that doesn't need more explanation. We get it. He was cloned. Um, but I do enjoy the breadcrumbs. I like the journey we're on. I just at some point would like it to just be like, okay, this is what happened. It is interesting to think though that if I do my math correctly, I want to say we're in like 20 ABY or 17 or 18 ABY. Like
Yeah.
we're 20 years out from the events of A New Hope. And The Mandalorian is like 15 or 20 years, I think, after A New Hope, ABY. And the sequel trilogy is like 30 years out. Palpatine returning as a functioning clone doesn't even really work in the beginning until episode 9, which is like 30 ABY. So we're talking 20 years before that. We're talking 50 years of this shit not working. So that's what's so crazy about this is like, and this
And
is
they
probably
can
not.
build a second Death Star in like a week and a half.
Yeah, but something's not working with the cloning. Okay, so let's roll back. So for everyone who is in the chat, I'm hoping that you watch the Bad Batch because we are going to talk spoilers. And if you haven't seen the Bad Batch, one, what are you doing here? Two, um, have you not seen the entirety of our network last week? Because oh my god, all we did was talk about the Bad Batch. We now have an after show. Hosted by John and Mike and Bryce, and that's on Fridays, and they do a full download for all things Bad Batch. So if you watch the episodes and then want to get a little bit of analytical discussion, a little plot summary, I call it a plot crunch, and then a little analysis as to what happened and some speculation. That's a great place to start. Also, as I don't want to push people off the network, but I love me some Screen Crush and those guys. They point out great Easter eggs, things like that. And then this is our one-off on the Bad Batch. We're going to do this one, and then we're going to come back at the finale. Unless something insane happens.
Unless something crazy like
Yeah,
Rebels-y, like, because
yeah,
I mean, it could is
exactly. If Hera comes back, we'll probably do a
well,
Hera
we
thing.
thought totally that because that's why
Yeah,
the last episode of Daughters of the Galaxy was the Hera re-air.
yep.
Is we totally thought, oh, eh,
We may see her. We may see Cham again. I think there's some other Clone Wars people that we know are coming back. I mean, we know Asajj is coming back.
yes,
And while she's not Rebels, she's definitely important and someone that I'm really excited to see what they do in that space. I know there's actually some concerns because of the canonical difference between Dark Disciple the book and what may be happening in Bad Batch itself. I'm not concerned, but I understand why other people are concerned. But I'm very excited about it, and I think everyone's excited. And of course, so is the channel. We've got our many shirts for. I love that we also have a Max Rebo returned as
that's
well.
right.
But yeah,
It's
the Asajj lives is what sends me because it's like everyone lives at this point. No one died in Star Wars.
oh, the
It's all right
Asajj
at the beginning.
lives totally like Dave Filoni has one of those now.
Yeah, I've got to
That's
get
the
me
new
one.
cosplay.
The woman who does her voice, Nika Futterman, is spectacular. She signed trading cards for us all the time when I was at Tops, and I just love her. She's a terrific person. She very rarely does conventions. Now would be the moment. Like, get yourself on a con circuit real quick, lady, and we will all come in shirts and meet you and get everything signed. Like now is the moment.
All the
Um,
things.
yeah, but we did get some other returning people actually. So let's jump into Bad Batch, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 3. Before we get into like plot crunch analysis, etc., one thing I did want to call out before I forget: Daniel Logan's back. How exciting is
Yes.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, that was my first like spoilers. Dan Logan's Facebook page spoiled that for me. It's like, hey, now, hey, would you be interested in a signing? Yes, please.
yes, please. Yeah, I was very excited to see him back because I worked with him quite a bit at Tops. He came to a couple celebrations. He's just good people, and he was like suspiciously missing from Rebels. So it was the kind of thing where I was like, you're such a big part of the Clone Wars, continuing the character of Boba Fett. And then he was only in the Boba Fett show for like that one episode through the
Mhm.
flashback kind of thing. So I sort of expected there would be more of him. And then he was, voicing a few of the cadets in that
I thought
second
it was
episode, the
like an
sandwich episode.
interesting choice because I think he was only the older cadet, right? Is there were
Yeah.
other voices for the younger ones just to differentiate?
Yeah, I think they wanted to give them different personalities. Sherry's asking the right question over here. Why didn't Daniel Logan voice all three of the cadet clones? And I think I'll put that up on the screen because yes, I
Yeah.
still have I'm logged in as an admin. How fancy. Um,
Woo!
and I think the answer to that is that they did want to show the three of them as having a little bit of differentiation between them. And I like this thing about Bad Batch is that the clones feel very lived in and very specific. The Bad Batch themselves, like the 6 of them, are all so different. They're not just clones. So that's exciting. Yes, and if you've ever met Daniel Logan, he is one of the best people to meet in person. He was at Rhode Island Comic Con
Mhm.
last year, and he will take his time and meet with you. And let me tell you, he always has a line, but he will find time to make you feel like the most important person in the room. That is just the interaction that he gives you. He's just very giving with his time and his energy. I kind of don't know how he does it. Like it's a lot to be on that long, because he's always in demand, and he is very good at signing a lot of different things. And he has a cool signature too. That's sort of like DL lockup that,
Well, what I loved about Daniel is I was meeting him at Celebration Anaheim, and he's sitting there and he's got plenty of time in his line and doing all the things. He's sitting next to Dickie Beer, and I'm
hmm
getting my Boba Fett helmet signed, and he's like, "Have you met my man Dickie here?" It's like
hmm
sending me over to his fellow Boba Fetts and just
Yep.
moving and the family there.
Yeah. The first time I met him in 2016, I was already working at Tops, but I hadn't done anything with him professionally. Was at Rhode Island Comic Con, and it was him, Dickie, Jeremy, and
Mm,
John Morton,
yeah,
and weirdly enough, Matthew Wood and a few other people as well, and Eric Bowersfeld. And I think I've told this story before that. Oh, and Tim Rose. So Tim Rose and Eric Bowersfeld, who both did, Akbar, but
yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Bowersfeld was in his 90s. But yeah, I have a picture of Boba Fett, just like an 8x10, and it's Boba Fett and then young Daniel Logan. I met Daniel first, so this was like the photo to get. So I got Daniel to sign it, and then I had everyone else sign it as well, and they were all just like delightful. But yeah, they were all there together, traveling as like the Fets, the 4 of them.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and meeting Eric Bowersfeld was actually like the greatest thing because he never did conventions, and he was already 90 at that point. So it was cool. I got him to sign my Akbar picture, and I have Carolyn Lackiston on there as well. So it's a good duel for sure.
Well, and I love that there's more and more Fets turning up now
Yeah,
as we
it's
find
ridiculous.
out as we listen
Yes,
to some of the people that have come on our channel. It's like, oh, you were in the Fed suit? What?
yes.
You know,
Who else was in this Fett suit? It's
it's like,
wild.
yeah.
Um, well, Brandon is saying that he met Mark Anthony Austin and Dickie at a hotel bar, and I got to tell you, I was the person who wanted Mark Anthony Austin to sign trading cards at Tops because
Yeah.
he plays Boba Fett in the New Hope special edition version. And for some reason, they had never had him before. And I don't know if part of it was that like they weren't really doing added special edition people or whatever it
He's
was.
a
Um,
hard one to find too. He's one of the
yeah.
ones that's missing from my Fett helmet back here.
So he never does public appearances because he's actually like a graphic artist. I think he was employed by ILM. He might still be, but
Mm,
if you follow him on Instagram, he's constantly talking about production stuff, like how things were made. And you're an artist, Dave.
yeah.
Like this would be really interesting to you. I highly recommend anyone to follow Mark Anthony Austin on Instagram because he's always talking about like the way things were created through special effect shots and things like that. So I think he's actually kind of like Matthew Wood, an employee of ILM who then ended up in the production for
Mhm.
whatever various reason. And that wouldn't
'Cause I
surprise
was
me.
there and I fit the suit.
Yeah, that's how Matthew Wood ended up being Boba Fett, not Boba Fett, Bib Fortuna
Yeah.
in episode 1. And then he ended up just doing the voice after the fact because he's very good at voices, but he's physically on screen, which he did not want to do because he was tall and skinny. Like, and by the way, what a problem to have. I was like, that's great. You're 6 foot tall and 140 pounds. My dream body right there. So he ended up on screen for that very reason, but they put him in all the makeup and everything. Um, yeah, so
Perfect,
Mark
perfect.
is talking, or Brandon's talking about how Mark did the work on the dewback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the
yeah, I
Feast of
think
the Fets, yeah, that's how I got started on the helmet. Is several other members of our channel attended that. I think Mike and John Notman, and it's like, oh, we got to do all the things and get.
yeah. Oh, hello, Lori. I see you have joined. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're not doing a watch along. We're just going to have a nice long form discussion, and we're going to talk about Bad Batch, and you know what that means. We're going to talk about everything else going on in the world, and then try to remember to talk about Bad Batch.
Oh, the Bad
Um,
Batch is there.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Sherry's mentioning a bunch of the ILM employees have ended up in suits, and I'm sure that we could survey a bunch of them of who's done background work and whatnot, and just ended up on screen by chance. I think
Mhm.
Mark and Matthew are both in that same camp. But seeing Daniel return was spectacular, and
Yes.
then the other weird voice in episode 2, Angelica freaking Houston. What?
Where did that come from?
I don't even know. Like, she's an Academy Award winner. I don't understand how things like that actually happen, but I was one surprised because I had completely forgotten about um, that character with the horns.
Yeah.
I can't even remember his name now, so he did not mean anything to me. And then his mom is the head of the crime syndicate. And yeah, so yeah, Lonnie, I was like, yes, I recognize that voice. And I'm like, oh, who's doing their best Angelica Houston impersonation over there? I was like, oh shit, it's her.
Well, see, we had talked about. I heard Angelica Houston was going to be in a Star Wars animated property. Is I hadn't heard Bad Batch, and on the Unifying Force this past weekend we were talking about the Star Wars Visions, like season 2.
Yeah.
And in one of the episodes, there is an animated character that kind of looks vaguely like Angelica Houston. I was like, "Oh, was that her?" And I go, "No," but oh, here we get the Divalorian. Is that the
Yeah,
name of the species? And I
that's
was
their
like,
species because they look like devils. I mean,
"Yeah." And I was like, "Are we going to get more Clancy Brown? Where's Clancy
yeah,
Brown?"
I know. I do love him. And now I can't even find, like, what the hell did she win the Academy Award for? Um,
Oh, what was she in that?
I know, I'm trying to find it. For a role she receives an Academy Award nomination. Damn it, where's the win? Earned her nomination. Where is it? I'm gonna have a heart attack here. Like, Academy Award win. Someone tell me in the chat. I can't be sitting here Googling, trying to do. Um, this is killing me. Why is it so hard to find the answer? There's 6,000 search results. One for playing the mob princess's daughter. What the hell? 1986. Prizzy's Honor? What the hell is this?
What? Pritzi's Honor?
Prizzy's
Giselle?
Honor. Is that what you won for? Yeah, that
Best
sounds right.
supporting actress,
Yeah,
1986.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. All right, Lonnie's asking a question about the timeline
Oh,
for Bad Batch season 3. Is it overlapping with Rogue One and the OT? Oh, girl, we are nowhere near. We are 17 years out at least. I want to say it's
I think we got a big jump during this episode. I mean, it gives me
months.
the impression that Omega they've been in this deal a while.
Yes. So in the first episode where she's definitely not a prisoner according to her captors,
Yeah.
it was like 3 weeks that she was there. They were counting the tick marks. And this is where like a screen crush comes in really handy because they were like 21 slices, right? Meanwhile, I love that they manage in weeks the same way, Earth does. Um but at the end of the third episode, they had counted and it was like what would they say? It was 6 months equivalent. So the amount of tick marks was in the 200s or something. Like it was some crazy number that it had jumped up. So or maybe 150 something, whatever it was about 6 months. So uh, definitely a little bit of a time jump, but not a big one. It's the kind of thing where like we're still far, far, far away from A New Hope at this point, and I
Well,
don't know if
Spencer
the
says
season is going to go for
121
many.
days.
What's that?
Spencer says
121.
121 days. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
getting that for.
It could be. I think that's I heard it was I thought it was 6 months, but you could be right. Um, the stuff that's happening there is concerning because I mean, they're taking her blood every day,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. It doesn't make any kind of sense, actually. It's a stupid protocol. Um, the fact that Lama Su was able to take her blood and it's never been checked by anything is also like a bad plot hole, but we won't even get to that. Um, but
Well,
the
she's always been with Lama Su, right?
Yeah,
So nobody else on Camino or whatever. This is apparently the reason why she's just like right there.
yeah. So I have a lot of issues with that sort of silly stuff, but you just got to overlook it and be like, look, the point of the episode is that she was unfortunately captured. She's by herself, but the prison doesn't break her. Like she doesn't lose her
No.
humanity, and if anything, the thing that wins the day was love and empathy. The
Yeah.
thing that I have very little of. So I have to like remind myself, like Return of the Jedi is how things win, right? Like Luke wins through love and empathy and saving Vader, not killing anyone, right? So this is how you know, she finds her way out. She like, bonds with that dog that they are going to put down, and ends up escaping that way. And the dog ends up helping. And she won't give up on Crosshair, even though he's told her repeatedly, this is a bad idea and I will absolutely leave you behind. They escape together. She trips and falls and he grabs her and was like, I'm not going to let you, I'm not actually going to leave you behind, even though he was saying all those things. So um, they find their way out because they kind of do the right thing.
Yeah,
So,
and it does remind you like how young she still is. You're thinking, oh, she's been shooting a bow and arrow, and she's been hanging with the guys for whatever, and she's matured and grown up. No, she still needs her lovey,
yeah,
and
she's still a
that
little
was a
kid.
big thing that bonded her with. I mean, her sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bigger questions at play though here. It's like the sister's not the M count, but she's the M count, and the Bad Batch, and the does this mean Daniel Logan has the Force? I don't know.
No, no, my feeling is Lama Su genetically modified Omega in a specific way that gave her M count. Because I don't
Mm,
think that adult woman, I think the adult woman was gender swapped. I think they've done a lot of genetic manipulation, right? So
yeah.
we've got a couple of women in the mix, very few, but there's a few. We've got everyone in the Bad Batch who got some type of specific superpower, even though it's not really Jedi specific superpowers. Like, I bet you, though, if you tested Crosshair's blood, there's probably some M count in there. Like, you can't be that good of a sharpshooter,
Well, I mean,
you
that's
know?
the whole reason why they say that Anakin was so good at pod racing is because he sees things before they happen. Is
Yes.
that kind of, you know,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the
the
Force. That's
the
how the Force
blurred
works.
lines between science and magic, right? But we have a way to measure it with. I mean, I kind of hate that we're talking about metachlorians in the year 2024, but I understand that it makes sense in this. They're talking about science. They're testing blood. This is what they're trying to maintain the M count. That's the whole thing. Is like the reason all this blood work is so important is that they're trying to clone the emperor, which they don't say out loud, but dude, the emperor shows
Y-
up,
Yeah.
which we'll come back to in a second. Um, they're trying to get blood that will work for a host without the M count reducing. So in theory, you're trying to find someone who is a powerful Jedi or Sith or Force user, um, and be able to clone them into a body or something that where the M count won't degrade. And yeah, yeah, hello. Like, here we go, Yoda, baby Yoda, Grogu. Exactly. Look, and that's what I'm talking about. How 50 years later, this shit still hasn't worked. So yeah, um,
Well, it did work because remember he's 50 years old. So it worked, but he was hidden away in the back room and
wait, are you saying that you think that Grogu is a clone?
I'm thinking that they're after Grogu all about attempting he's involved in the cloning somehow. That's why they wanted him. That's why Pershing is after
Oh,
him. That's
sure.
why the
Yeah.
client is after
I don't think anything came of it, is what I meant. I'm sorry. I thought he was a dead end and that they never got anywhere with it
I
because they
don't know.
captured
I
Grogu,
mean,
but yeah.
he would have been born, conceived, bred, whatever at the time we're talking about.
Oh, you're right. Like right now. Yeah.
Yes,
In the
right now.
you're right. Yeah.
He would have been created or born or whatever
I
right
just
at
did
this
the math earlier too, and none of us fit. Yeah, you're right. You're just putting it together. That's right on. Okay, the chat is blowing up, guys.
it is.
So okay, let's go back for a second. I do one. I got to put up the somehow in count return because, dear lordy lord, oh I cannot. Um, Also, thank you, Lonnie, for remembering the name of the dog. Betcher.
No,
We love my
I thought
Betcher.
she was saying I thought that was her way of saying badger.
It's Batcher, yeah. I think,
Oh.
like, like, part of the batch. He's one of the batch, so he's a batcher.
Oh.
So,
See, I kept
um
thinking it was just the Kiwi way of saying like a badger.
oh, no, I kept hearing Betcher, and I was like, "She's calling this thing a bitch?" So it was, like, very that. Um, Lori, this is really interesting. Ray and Omega
Ooh.
being related. I do wanna come back to that. Hold that thought because, like, there's a through line of Palpatine happening, right?
Yeah.
Um, all right, John, I don't think she has M count. They were adding stuff to the blood samples. I think they were looking for a medium to support M count for Palpatine's cloning. And I think the she in that sentence is actually the adult woman that you're talking about, the adult clone. Agreed. Because we know that by the end of episode 3, Omega does have M count and could support like his blood basically coming in, is what it seems.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that, John, but that's how I read that. Um,
I
and
mean, it could be this entire thing to where, they're talking about, well, Ray is the grandchild of Palpatine,
yeah.
and everybody's like, Palpatine got busy?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe not.
not really. I'd like
It's
to not think about
it's
that.
you know, it's the
Yeah.
test tube kind of granddaughter.
Yes, and I think that the the first offspring, or not the first offspring, but I guess there were a few offsprings. A lot of them didn't take, and I think one was actually Ray's dad, who ended up being like a non-functioning,
Mhm.
like zero M count kind of clone, and he kind of lived as a human and just escaped somehow. So even though he's technically by bloodline a Palpatine, he doesn't really have any of the evil or the Sith powers or anything of Sheev. And just to put up on the screen, Project Necromancer one more time. This is what we keep
Oh,
coming
yeah.
back to. Project Necromancer was mentioned in The Mandalorian, so production order wise, it came up first in The Mandalorian. Chronologically, of course, it's being used here. It is all to come back to like somehow Palpatine returned, but it makes sense because that was always part of something in the EU. So as ridiculous as it is that we're talking about it now, that stuff in the books is wild and out of control. So there's like no coming back to it.
I mean,
Um,
if you haven't read, I joke and I talk about Luke and I say it like that because like there's Luke with like 3 U's or something that is literally a clone of Luke Skywalker
yeah,
from the extended universe. It's
yeah,
it's Legends now,
yeah.
but
That was the Clone Wars before the Clone Wars.
yeah.
So, and just want to put this up on the screen. Our permanent host, hello there, Ashley.
Yay! I
Um,
actually
Ashley is on assignment, as we said, so she's just checking in to make sure that Dave and I are holding down the fort. We're having a great time talking about clones. Let me tell you, this was a very clone heavy episode, a cloning heavy episode. One of the things that really got me was like there's a really nefarious plan, and it's so devious that Dr. Hemlock, whose name I love, by the way, I
yeah,
mean the
okay.
heavy-handed
They
nonsense of
don't
Dr. Hemlock.
play.
Yeah, I mean, he should just be named Doctor Evil. Like, who kidding? He's he's delightful though. He's like so cold and calculated, and like all things Empire though, he gives away the plot because he doesn't think that anyone's a threat. He's the one who mentions to Omega that there's a downed ship out there, like in the wild, right? Like that
Yeah.
ship that crashed, and he's not going to save them. And it just goes to show how cold and terrible he is. And then she stored that little information, was like, "Well, I got my way out now. Thanks." So it's the kind of thing that always gets them there, hubris. And I feel like that man deserves like a terrible, terrible, terrible fate. And I think we're going to get there. I'd love for him to be eaten by the dog. Like that feels really like
Well,
brutal and
because
awesome.
he was cruel
Yeah,
enough that he was just gonna put the dog down, and he thought, "No,
yeah.
we're no." No, that's it.
Gotta give
Well,
him a
it's a
chance.
classic villain trope is you
Yeah.
have to, give the exposition of your devious plan. You have to
Yeah,
do it.
I know, we got a monologue. I'm like, "Where's your cape, man?" So, I thought he was great. I thought the
He does
voice
need
actor
a
who brought
cape.
him to life was terrific. I like that Omega picked up on those little things. Um, I also love the blood as it's getting ready to get tested on the final day. And the way it's ticking like a clock. And I look, I love a great visual, it's like for a kid show and they hit you over the head with a
Yeah.
metaphor. And then I have a moment where I feel so smart. I was like, "Oh my god, it's a clock!" Like I like screamed it at the television as if I unraveled like the Da Vinci Code. And Jason's looking at me. He's like, what are you?" Yes, it's a clock, obviously. And I felt very, very smart until I realized how dumb it actually was. And I was like, the clock is awesome. I'm super into the clock. So, but yeah, it's pretty clear that now there's a target on Omega, not just because she escaped, but because they have to get her and they have to take her alive to bring her to the Emperor
Yeah.
or back to the facility for the Emperor.
Well, that's your convenient plot point as to
Yep.
why they didn't get blown out of the sky.
Yes, a little bit of plot armor, which I'm not opposed to. I don't mind like a really well done plot armor. We talk about plot armor all the time with Ahsoka. She's got plot armor for days. But like I think Omega's particular like usefulness to the Emperor
Mhm.
will give us one a reason to have her tailed everywhere, and they're going to call on every bounty hunter in the world. That's where Asajj Ventress is going to come from. The bounty on this girl is going to be in the trillions of credits, right?
You
They're
think
going to be
that's
like,
really
what?
where Asajj is coming from? I would have thought that Asajj was done with that at this point, and she's just gonna be like,
I don't know. I mean, I immediately went to bounty hunter because what else you doing?
I
Uh,
don't think it's possible.
yeah, I well, here's the thing. Let's ask the chat. Um, One, is everyone excited about the return of Asajj Ventress? I would assume people would be. And two, do you think she's coming back to hunt down Omega? My top choice is that she is bounty hunting for Omega. My second thought is that she will have a run in with the rest of the Bad Batch, who then enlist her to help. I think those are
Mhm.
sort of the two options. I really think she's gonna start out bad and then convert, which is such a Disney trope, but I kind of live for that shit too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's a chance that we get to see some of the other bounty hunters in the galaxy that are going to be after her and every finding the whole deal.
Hmm.
But I don't know if that's where Asajj is after our last arcs that we've seen with Asajj from the
From
Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars, yeah, and
Is
that's really fair because we don't know what happened to her in the last couple of years. A lot can change, a lot has changed, but I'm not sure. All right, Spencer's saying Fennec and Cad Bane are back, and a few people.
spoilers, spoilers.
I mean, are they back, or is it just rumored
I
that
don't
they're
know,
back?
or if that's just him saying stuff, but he knows things, you know.
Yeah. Lonnie brings up a good point, though, that like Ventress already did that exact thing that I just mentioned in the Clone Wars with young Boba. So hopefully it's something else. I agree that I don't like plot points that repeat. I'm just trying to figure out how we would return her. Um, and then Charles is asking a good question. If Asajj returns, does Quinlan Voss return also? Because Quinlan, we know, is alive in the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I think is 5 years or 10 years out from A New Hope. So we know that Quinlan's alive. I would
Right.
love to see a Quinlan Voss back on my screen. Just when Obi-Wan said his name when he was in that episode with the Path and he just sees him and was like Quinlan was here, that was enough to like send me. I was like, Quinlan Voss is back, and he's like, and in my mind, I go straight to like the Mephisto of it all. I was like, and he's the one running the path, like he's running the Underground Railroad of it all. So,
Yeah. So
I went straight to that. Yeah,
we,
Ming Na
we
says she was
apparently
back.
missed that and that they were in the trailer.
I'm sure they were.
I
You're right. We did see Cad Bane in the trailer, and we know that he lives at least through the events of the Book of Boba Fett, if not after that. Um,
Ooh, look at this one. I like this one. Great opportunity to bring in Dengar. You
yes,
know,
I like that.
we could do
Um,
that. We could see like how old would Boba be at this point?
he was, I mean, he would be in his 20s. I think Daniel Logan would be a great returning Boba Fett, as
Yep.
opposed to Tamora at this time period. Um, I also think Aura Singh would be fantastic to bring back. We always need more women, and we know that Aura's still alive because she hasn't been killed by Beckett quite yet
Hmm.
prior to the events of Solo: A Star Wars Story. And she has some bad blood with Boba and everyone else in the guild. So I would love to see me a little more Aura Singh. Um, yeah, Bossk would be cool. Look, I'm down for all of them. I really think like the bounty hunters were some of the most interesting stuff within this. It was, I think it was the second season of Clone Wars when they went really heavy on the bounty hunters. It was either season 2 or season 3. I'd have to double check. We'll get into that when we roll out
Bring
Clone
us
Wars
up on that
Revisited.
was that our first appearance of Fennec?
No, Fennec Shand wasn't in Clone Wars. Fennec Shand popped into The Mandalorian first, and then they pulled her into Bad Batch season 1, I believe.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think she ever made it into Clone Wars.
Okay.
Unless she's in season 7 and I'm forgetting. So, and this is why we're going to be doing all these rewatches. Yeah, for everyone who, I think everyone who's tuning into our show on a regular basis and is in our chat and everything, we've talked about this a little bit. Clone Wars Revisited will be coming to the channel later in the year with me and Ashley and Skip. So that's going to be a really fun trio. It's going to, oh, there's Skip right now. Good timing, Skip.
Yeah, Skip
Um,
is there.
yeah. So
Skip's
Ventress
been
is bounty
over. He's
hunting.
been over here in the Insta for a while there too.
Gotcha. See, I'm seeing the I guess the YouTube comments. Ventress is bounty hunting as that is where she was before her downfall. Yeah, yeah, it's probably the case. I I really do think she's gonna come back as a bounty hunter because that's how the average fan still knows her, and they'll have to like figure out how we pull in the events of Dark Disciple. So somehow Skip returned. He's never left. So
No,
by the way, Skip
he's
is
just
going to be
always
filling
here.
in for me in a couple weeks. So I'm here next week with Ashley, um, but then the following week I'm on vacation. So it's Monday, March 11th, whatever that Monday is. Skip is going to be filling in with Ashley for me. I think they're doing a watch along that week, but more to come. But yeah, we're working behind the scenes right now, actually, on what the Clone Wars Revisited will look like, because we have 7 seasons and there's like
A
200
million
episodes. It's like
episodes.
140 episodes. It's like wild. Yeah.
Well, and you get the thing too with Clone Wars where it kind of started slow, like Rebels in some senses.
Yeah. That this show is doing a similar trajectory where things are getting really dark and serious now. I watched those 3 episodes and was like, that was made for me. That was not made
Mm,
for some 5-year-old or
no.
7-year-old or 10-year-old. Like Ian McDermott returning as Palpatine, Angelica Houston popping in. Who are they making this for? Daniel Logan's back. Like no 9-year-old is like, mommy, Angelica Houston. Like this was obviously made for men our age and women our age. And I think they were looking at like the hardcore demo of Star Wars, not like kids. So I'm excited to see that like the way this is shaping up this
Yeah,
season.
but and they do, I think, a good job at kind of like riding that line where if there are kids who watch cartoons,
Mhm.
you know, a little bit more of a mature kid, you've got Omega, right? You've got the they didn't have to make those cadets as young as they did.
Right.
Those could have been, late teens, 20 somethings. Is they're hitting on the demographic. They're trying to just throw this out to everybody, you know.
Yeah, they're definitely going for the broad appeal, all
Just
family
try
kind of
and
thing.
try and catch the kids who've been caught a little bit by young Jedi adventures and suck them into this and just get them
It's
into
definitely the
mainstream.
next step. Young Jedi Adventures is really fun, by the way. I watched a few
It's
recently with
it's
my
like
niece. It's like
Bluey for Star Wars.
yes, which by the way, can we talk about Bluey for a second? Um, I was reading this thing. My sister and my brother-in-law. So I have a 6-year-old niece and a 2-year-old niece, and so Bluey is like all the rage over there. And apparently, this thing was making the rounds on Instagram, and it came up that Bluey's dad is an archaeologist, so he digs for bones, and then Bluey's mom works at the TSA, so she's like a dog sniffer at like the airport. I was like, who created these people's jobs? This is so smart. Like whoever made this show, it's just I can't. It's so perfect.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this Bluey is live, and I love that those people are on the con circuit now.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Oh yes, Bluey voices are just like popping up on the con circuit
Oh,
at
that's
this point.
awesome. Yeah. That look, I would definitely meet whoever did the mom and dad for Bluey. I just think are just what is it? Bingo's the other sibling. I don't know. I've lost track, but like that show is great. By the way, I don't have kids, but I highly recommend tune into Bluey. Um, Let me see. I want to scroll back up to some of the comments we missed before. Um, do, 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 do. Live action. Oh yeah, Crosshair getting his redemption. I do want to talk about this for a second.
Of
So
course.
we all saw this coming a mile away. Um, I love his shaky hand. Can we talk about how his one skill is like sort of failing him at the moment, and he's going to need to rebuild that throughout the year or the season while he builds his confidence and gets his redemption. Like it's sort of going to go hand in hand, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is. What I will be interested to see though is what is the hand. Is this see, this is where I'm going, and I'm going in a dark place really super quick, and we're like 3 episodes in. Is this what happens to the whole Bad Batch? Are they all decaying, or is there accelerated
Oh,
age? Yes.
I didn't
Are
think of
they
that.
all gonna die?
Oh boy.
Because that's
I
that's what
I had not thought of that.
yeah.
Thank you, Dave, for bringing everything down like a
I'm
decibel.
sorry.
No, I think that's a fair question because I was saying I think the show has to end with all of them dead, and I know that that's super bleak and it's very Rogue One,
Yes,
but
it's very Rogue One.
my other thought was like, why are they keeping it at this time period so far away from A New Hope? Like we were saying earlier, a few people asked how far are we away from the events of A New Hope? Hella far. So there's still 15 to 16, 17 more years before we, get to the events of Luke Skywalker. Why are we talking about this time period? I thought they could have done this show for 10 more seasons or whatever, and we could have made our way through the reign of the Empire.
Yeah.
But if these clones really do have expiration dates that are earlier than that, and they are going to die young. Oh man, that's
Well,
just
and they're
heart-wrenching.
purposely like they're studying, they're not using the rest of the clone army anymore. They're in decline and they're on the shelf. They're just giving their blood every day, but
Yeah.
they wiped out other units. They're done.
Oh, lots of clones have been, we'll say, decommissioned but
Yes.
killed, and whatever else. There's nothing great happening for any of the clones out there. Um, so I
And I mean, we see what's happened to the clones by the time of Kenobi,
yeah,
and then our only hope is the retcon of Rex. That's the of
yeah.
lasting at any point is that's our only hope.
A few of them make it to old age, and possibly if and when they remove their inhibitor chip, that might help.
Mm.
Um, like, I don't know if that's something to do with it. I do think them being genetically modified in yet another way could shorten their lifespans. It certainly shortens their whole trajectory to adulthood, but then it's supposed to plateau, but it might accelerate again after their usefulness.
But
Like,
see,
don't you
then
think?
again, the Bad Batch though are not perfect clones. They're
Yes.
rejects. They're
Yeah.
not.
So they may start either losing their abilities, aging, becoming disabled, um, becoming old and dying, or they may just like. Don't we see in the Clone Wars a couple of like older clones who sort of went AWOL and they just sort of escape and they live to be relatively old? Like, there's got to be some of that. But John, I think you're right. The series is not going to end well. I think um, and this is where I think it's like the Clone Wars ended on a really bleak note. Like
Oh,
that final scene with Ahsoka burying all of the stormtroopers and putting their helmets on the sticks and then dropping her lightsabers, like they lost, man. Like we all lost. And Vader's in the final shot with the convor flying, like that was just like just destructive. Like you could like feel like it like made my bones
yeah.
evaporate.
Well,
Like
we were like, oh yeah, they're coming back for season 7.
yeah.
We're gonna get the ending and the resolution.
Siege of
This is the
Mandalore,
resolution.
the resolution. Yeah, well, and no one, we all knew, right? Like it's the kind of thing where it's like going in what's going to happen, kind of like Rogue One. But I always like tricked myself, and I was like, oh, the group on Rogue One, they could just be living somewhere else, and I was like, no, every single one of them's going to die. I don't think anyone's making it out of Bad Batch alive.
Well, with the exception, I think it was mentioned a couple of back there is oh yeah, Lori's mentioning
Yeah.
Omega is the only one that survives.
Also, we're not going to kill a kid. We do a lot of dark things, and they did it in the prequel movies in a movie, but a TV show on Disney Plus is not killing the girl child. Like, let's be serious. They'll kill some women, but they're not going to kill girls. And nor should they kill boys. But I think the clones, it's probably why we met slightly older clones, not
Mm,
children, so we can kill them later too. Like
yeah.
I got to be honest, like I think like no clones are really going to make it out that we know. There might be a few scattered, kind of like Order 66. Like there'll be like a handful of Jedi here and there, a handful of clones here and there. But Omega will live, and I think she'll have to live on without the rest of the batch. Like she will have to carry that legacy.
If anybody gets through, it's going to be like Echo, right?
Possibly, yeah.
Is you might get one of them that lives to kind of tell the tale and be the cautionary whatever, but like Wrecker, it's done. Hunter,
Yeah.
done. Crosshair, no way.
Yeah, Crosshair has to die, I think. And actually, I do want to put Lonnie's quote up. Very tragic about his whole identity in question, right? From
Yeah.
potential PTSD. Yeah, I mean, imagine your name is Crosshair. What the hell do you do? Like, what if you lose an eye? Like, what if your hand is shaky? Like, you can't do the thing that you're named after. Like, your whole identity is tied to this particular skill. And his whole identity was tied to being a soldier, which is kind of the idea of the clones, right? They were made and programmed to do this one thing. And now that one thing isn't happening anymore. The Clone Wars are over. So could you go be a stormtrooper? In theory, there are some elite stormtroopers that are actually former clones, and there's a handful of them. But I think to everyone's point in the comments, I think we're all on the same page here. They're all going to die, and they're going to die rapidly, or it's going to end very poorly. Man, sorry to bring down the room, you guys. Yeah. No, but it's a good discussion point because I think as we start predicting what's going to happen in the finale, uh, we also know that this is all happening before the events of the Skywalker trilogy, right? It's not
Yeah.
going to change anything related to Palpatine. And we know where Palpatine is headed. It's more about how we get there and who in the other smaller ancillary characters. Like, what's going to happen to Sid? Like, I love me some Rhea Perlman, but that
Yeah.
character is garbage. Like, what do we
Well, and
want to happen to Sid?
this is how they're supporting the Mandoverse as well. Is there's a reason why this is in there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean the the outside. Yeah, I don't see it. The Mandoverse is too far ahead of them. I don't think they're going to get there. You know, like where would they have been hiding during the original trilogy? What was
Yeah. Yeah. There's look, it's a big galaxy. And I realize that production order solves a lot of this, but yeah, it would seem like a really long time for them to be around and not reappear until like Mandoverse or something. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's still going to be the thing of how do we talk about where the hell Ahsoka was for the events of episodes 4, 5, and 6? Like,
right.
I think that's still something that we need to figure out. Um, I like this idea from Skip though about Crosshair potentially living and then dealing with
Mm,
survivor's guilt and caring for Omega. I don't think they're going to go down that route, but if we think about surviving and dealing with guilt, it happens very infrequently in Star Wars. Usually, you go from heel to face, and then they kill you, so you don't actually have to deal at your, um, you don't actually have to repent. You just have to
no,
have your like one moment of redemption. Vader, Ben
Kylo
Solo,
Ren.
yeah, yeah, Kylo Ren, done and dusted. Whereas on the other hand, Agent Callus, who I still stand by as the best redemption arc in all of Star Wars, really like lived it and made it work and earned everyone's trust and became like a valued member of the Rebel Alliance. Could Crosshair do the same? I think so. Also, Lori's on a tear tonight.
Mm.
Girl, I love this. I'm
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
you. Lori, have you been talking to Sarah? It's usually Sarah calling for heads in the chat. uh, I think that Sid is going to actually end up as collateral damage. I think the people who are looking for Omega are going to target anyone she's ever come in contact with. And so I actually think the reason we met Angelica Houston and the rest of like her crime syndicate is now that the bounty is in the bazillions of dollars, they're going to be like, oh, we just talked to a bunch of stupid clones looking after
Mm.
this girl. And they're like, oh, did you help them? Oh, we're burning down your little crew over here. So I don't think it's going to end well for the Deveronians either.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the flashback that we had, we saw where the Empire's invading, Sid's, and they end up with Omega. But did Sid really do that? No, that was Crosshair that kind of like lured them into that trap, was it not?
Probably. I mean,
Because
I,
didn't
I
they say that was the whole thing? That is like, oh, we got a signal from Crosshair, and they were like, yeah, that's trap. And Omega's like, no, we have to try.
mm, yeah, I look. Crosshair has a lot of blame for sure. I
Well,
mean,
Laurie
just
seems to think it was Sid. I don't know.
I think it's possible. Look, I don't trust Sid,
Maybe.
and I think either way, whether Sid is working with the Batch or against the Batch or whatever, she's had a lot of contact with them, and so the thought from the Empire would be you're a known um, person of interest. Yeah, Lori, I like that's me every Monday. I'm like coming in ready to fight. Uh, yeah, you're a known accomplice of this person who has probably I would say the largest bounty on her head compared to anyone else other than like an Obi-Wan Kenobi or a Yoda if we thought they were still alive, right?
Right.
Like this girl would jump to the top 10 most wanted list in the galaxy. So, um, oh, the Pikes will have to go after Sid too. Yeah, yeah, known consort, exactly. That's what it comes down to, Ashley, is that Sid and everyone around them. And honestly, I think we are going to get a greatest hits of who we met during season one. If they brought that one Deveronian back who lost his horn from season one and introduced the fact that he's part of this larger circuit in episode two of this
Like
season,
royalty or something.
yeah, he was super important. And I love them all. Like, yeah, well, we might see the Syndulas again. I really do think that in order to wrap up everything, we're going to have to check back in with a lot of these people, and we're going to see consequences. Because this is another show that I think it's going to be like the Clone Wars, where it ends really, really dark. Because we're still in that hopeless in between. Like episode 3 to episode 4 is just a long series of disappointments. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean that for like the citizens of the galaxy. From a storytelling perspective, there's a lot of great stuff in there. Like I liked Solo, I love Rebels, Clone Wars is great. Like Bad Batch is really shaping up to be something special. But it's very bleak and it's very hopeless. Andor is probably the best example of that. I mean, Andor's incredible, and I can't wait
Well,
for that to come
Vision
back.
season 2, a lot of that was really dark about what the Empire is doing and how evil they really are.
Hmm.
Little moments of hope in there, sprinkled in there,
Yeah,
but it and that's not even a canon thing. That's, everybody's interpretation from these animation studios around the world. Oh,
yeah,
this is how bleak it is. Oh, this is how
yeah.
bleak it is. Oh, this is how bleak it is.
Star Wars is, I think, compared to DC, Marvel, all the other universes, the most serious, the one that's taken the most seriously, the one that takes itself the most seriously, and there is like a darkness to it. It's not quite there with like Dune, but like if you start plotting them from like fun to horrifying within the realm of sci-fi, like we're not in Blade Runner territory, but we are in a place where like things do feel sad and hopeless. There is a dystopian I will say future, even though it's set in a far, far away because it feels futuristic. Like there is a big overlord government who controls the population through fear. And there's like magic and science, and it's all going poorly for our heroes. And it ends really sadly. Like there's a lot of death in Star Wars. We were talking about that the other week, being like, how many missing parents are there across the Ghost? Like no one has a family. Yeah, rated R, super weird. Which, by the way,
Still need
Dune's
to
in
do that
theaters
church.
this weekend.
Still need
Yeah.
to do that.
Who's going to see Dune 2? No, what do you mean no? It's this weekend. I love the first one. Did you like the 80s Dune or any of the Dunes?
It is become to let's cater the classic sci-fi to the millennials for no apparent reason. It's like let's cast Zendaya. Sorry, no, bye. I'm out.
I think she's actually fine in the role. I don't mind her.
I know
Um,
I mean I haven't even, like I said, I'm probably not going to see the new one to say if she is or not fine in the role. But the
mhm.
fact that that's our go-to, and what do we do to update this for the modern thing? Let's cast Zendaya.
Oh,
That's what we
gotcha.
do. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
fair.
No,
Yeah.
no, no criticism of her performance other than her performance and the weird outfit on the red carpet.
Her
But
red carpets have been amazing. Did you see that
just
new
like
white dress? That white dress that she wore today, I don't understand how the physics works on it, but like the cutouts were like insane. Um, I
the
will
the
say
C-3PO thing was just a thing.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, that's for press, obviously.
Yeah,
I was having this conversation with someone about how fashion is there's the highly wearable, like everyday kind of stuff, and then there's like fancy wear, and then there's like red carpet, and then there's editorial. Like people
right.
seem to be wearing editorial stuff on red carpets more and more in a place where it's like you can't really wear this stuff. Like you're supposed to wear it for the magazine, but
Yeah.
not in public because it only looks good photographed
Well,
for a
they're
magazine, not walking around in person.
they're going back to the Lady Gaga meat dress.
Yes, which I love that thing. It's a jerky now. Did you know that? That's how they preserved it. Yes,
Amazing.
I know the whole story of the meat dress. So there's actually like multiple prongs on that one. But she was saying like being a pop star, you're often treated like a piece of meat, and the industry uses you up like that. Which again, heavy-handed metaphor, love it.
Oh yeah,
And she's like, but we're also going to preserve it, so it is a jerky.
nice.
Love it. It's just so fucking nuts. I love Lady Gaga so much. You have no idea. Especially being like a gay guy of this age. Like she is just like up there for me, like near the pinnacle. Not quite Madonna level, but like
Can we
clean
get
under.
like the Lady Gaga back in the jerky dress with like Macho Man Randy Savage step into a scene?
It's not, oh yeah. Like that, I
That's a
mean,
Slim Jim ad right
that's the
there.
kind of stuff I like. Um, All right, coming back to Dune before we then float back to Rebels. Dune comes out this weekend, so and we have the official costume license, so I'm paying sort of close attention to it.
Mhm.
It seems to be getting early good reviews, but you really do need to have seen like part one because this is part two. And Sherry's bringing up a good point that Florence Pugh is in this movie. So for anyone who loves the MCU, our new Black Widow, Yelena, most prominently seen in the Hawkeye series so far in the Black Widow movie, looks insane, obviously on the red carpet because that's how these people dress now. But apparently, she has a really prominent role in this second part of the film. And yeah, I just love her. I think she's spectacular. But yeah, that
Well,
being
and
said, there's
I
not a
will
whole
say
lot
that
else.
they have done enough updating that your costume license will actually give you something as opposed to like the like, oh, let's wear brown from the original.
Yeah. Oh, we have the still suit for Paul and for Zendaya,
Mhm.
Chani. And it comes with like a multi-piece mask and like a cloak, and it's actually like a pretty good. I'll have to show it to you. Like the still suit's
Oh,
actually like not bad. For a Halloween costume, it's really nice. It's not super cosplay like high end, but it would be great to walk around a con in or just wear out
oh
for
yeah, I like
Halloween.
the
So
I love the
yeah.
easy cosplays. That's
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so Bad Batch. Final thoughts, because I know we're nearing the end of the show. I think everyone's calling for the death of Sid. Geez, I am thrilled to see everyone on the same page with a common enemy that is music to my ears. Because I'm usually on the wrong side of something where I'm like death to that person, and everyone's like, Mark, you're a monster. But I think we all agree that Sid needs to go. I think we agree that like Crosshair will get a redemption, but also probably won't make it out alive. I think there's some bets to be made as to like whether the rest of the batch is going to age and die potentially at the end. And I think in order to stay up on all this stuff, the most important thing for you guys to do is, aside from watching the show, is tune into the watch alongs on Thursday night because we are doing Thursday night watch alongs for the batch. It starts this Thursday. Last week we were closing out Ahsoka because we had started our Ahsoka revisited watch, which by the way, that episode was awesome.
oh yeah,
Having JJ and Natalie, they were spectacular guests.
they really were. The last couple and Paul the week before, and
Yeah.
just oh, I was that, and I was that, and I was that, and I was that.
Yeah. If I were still at Tops, I would have been like writing all these down and being like Lucasfilm send. Like I need autographs for all of these. And that man moves. I think I said this to JJ and to Natalie. I was like, Paul moves like he's walking on water. Like there's this like fluid motion to him that I can't quite like when he was Maroc, like or Merrick, like the
Yeah.
way he moved in that suit was just like so smooth and cool. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. You got to get him to sign that.
Oh, ordered it while we were on the air with him. I was just
Awesome.
like, nope,
Yep.
eBay.
Done and done. And JJ is always delightful. JJ, of course, is the stunt coordinator. JJ Dashnoff from the Mando verse. He's done Book of Boba Fett. He did Mando season 3. I think he did Mando season 2 also. He's obviously did the Ahsoka show. And then Natalie Padilla was not only the co-stunt coordinator, she was the amazing double for Diana as
Yeah.
Elsbeth, as Morgan Elsbeth. Like, what the hell? I mean, we talked extensively about that lightsaber fight, which I kept saying, I was like, "You're going to be on a list." Like a lunatic, I'm like, "You're going to be on a list." So she will be though. That lightsaber fight will be on listicles among some of the best. So very excited to see that. Um, John has a good question. Did anyone else notice Omega's new crossbow in the promo poster based on Boba Fett's Return of the Jedi rifle? Could that be a clue that he'll show up? Um, I had not thought of that, John. I did notice she gets a new rifle. I thought she just adjusted it. Um, I'm not surprised that they're using an in-universe reference for her to upgrade her weapon. We did talk a little bit earlier about how like Boba Fett would make a lot of sense, especially a Daniel Logan Boba Fett in
Yeah.
his 20s. I think that would be cool. And here's the thing: I think the bounty hunters are coming out in big numbers to hunt this girl down. There's no two ways about it. Like we're gonna see every bounty hunter that's still alive, and people we've never met yet chasing this
And
girl.
there's your other redemption. Oh,
Yeah,
here's Boba Fett. He's a bounty hunter. Oh, wait, I meet my clone sister. Oh, I
yeah.
got to be good now.
Well, I think that he lets her go, right? I
Yeah.
think everyone has some type of morality, whether you're a bounty hunter or not. There are still things where it's like, well, I'm accepting payment for this job, but maybe I don't want to do this job. Like, I think that's one where Boba Fett will get his, like, not going to go after you kind of thing. But he probably won't help her either. I think a lot of these bounty hunters are going to go neutral for this. So, oh, I like that, Lonnie, the Alpha and the Omega, the Boba Fett and the Omega. Yeah, that's
Is
actually
that
that's
not
really
a
clever.
reference to the beginning and the end?
Yeah.
Ooh,
She is
oh.
the last she in theory could be the last clone. I realize she's not like maybe she'll be the last clone to like die at a very old age or something. Maybe she'll age like a normal person soon. Um, yeah, and Asajj going after Omega. She doesn't like Palpatine. She might be there to help protect Omega. If you know a bounty's out on someone and you're a good bounty hunter,
Oh,
maybe you want to go and help that person. So, um, yeah, let's look. I think the discourse on this is going to be really fun. And we're in the end game. We're aware of it. This is the final season. They have a plan. You know,
oh, that ooh,
all right, we're going to delete this comment.
that's
So,
retconning right there.
no and no.
Oh,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, who are you? That old lady at look, I don't even want to talk
no.
about the Rise of Skywalker. I can't. I just like I have too many thoughts. Um, but yeah, I Omega
Well,
could be anyone and could be around for a while, I hope.
this is gonna be a fun one, I think, when you guys come back to do the last episode.
Yeah,
When we see, like, everybody write it down right now, your
get
predictions
your predictions
and
in.
how right, wrong, or completely sideways it goes, because we've seen how, I mean, what predictions did we make for the Ahsoka show and then
Yeah.
just blown out of the water
Yeah.
there.
Who had a trip to Mortis on the list. So, I mean, it's wild what happened and what didn't happen. Yeah, I think now's the time to lock in your predictions. Join us on Thursdays, of course, for the watch along. This week we'll do episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Next week we'll do episodes 4 and 5. So then we'll be on track. Because this Wednesday, they do episode 4
Yeah.
airs. So next week we'll cover 4 and 5. So we'll be right on time for next week. This week, obviously, we're covering 1, 2, and 3 because we had the Ahsoka episode 8 last week. And then there's the after show running on Fridays. So Mike,
Yeah, and the
Bryce, and
after show's
Sean.
staying right on top of it. The
Yes.
Friday after show this week will be right there at episode 4, and they
Yep.
will. So get your content there. Oh, and please remember, people, when you are watching, is everything on the channel and everything in the Facebook page. We
Mhm.
are a spoiler-free zone for a little while.
Yeah.
Is 48 hours is what we're saying now, because we're gonna go ahead and in about that amount of time. That's when your watch alongs will be once we get caught up.
Yeah. It'll be like kind of right on. Uh and yeah, for now anyway, it'll be fine. And the after show will keep you covered too because they're going to do plot crunch and analysis and prediction every week. So as we get more tidbits of information, like it's going to continually evolve, right? We've already hung out with Palpatine quite a bit. I thought we would see him toward the end of the series. I was like, this man is too important. We're not going to see him right away. And then there he is
Oh,
on Mount Tantus.
throw him right there. He's there,
Yeah.
and immediately, no question, is that Ian or not? It's like, nope,
Yeah.
we get all Ian-y immediately.
The way he channels that voice, it's because we've heard of few imitators. And by the way, Sam Witwer is an amazing voice actor and he does a
Oh,
great Palpatine, but it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more delicate. Something about Ian, he has this like roughness in like you could feel it in like your throat. Like
yeah.
there's something about the Palpatine that he does that's like shaky and scary in
Well,
a
I think
way
he's
that like,
grown
you know.
into it. I think he's
Yeah.
better now that he's older, and
Yeah,
it's got
agreed.
that gravel in his voice naturally. That's just
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like the Palpatine that's happening right now, even more so than some of the stuff from like the Clone Wars. Um, but yeah, or not even. No, he didn't even do most of the Clone Wars. What did he do? He was doing. He did Return of the Jedi. Obviously, there was other stuff that he did, and I'm forgetting.
um,
But
we
he did Rebels for
yeah.
the end of Rebels, which he was very good. But yeah, I think now is like peak Palpatine voice acting for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm trying to think what else we've seen him in too. He's been there, and he's got all the credits. He's been in some
Yeah.
of the video games as well.
Which is weird because then he wasn't in some of the other official projects. But so many
Right.
people have done the voice of Palpatine. It's wild. Either way, they've all been good. I mean, Ian Abercrombie was great. Tim Curry was great. They all just bring something a little bit different to the role. So a lot of people have portrayed the Emperor. But this is definitely our Emperor. Like this is Ian at his most Ian. So if I hope everyone has seen these episodes. It seems like everyone in the chat is like on fire tonight with their predictions and everything. It
Oh, yeah.
seems like you guys obviously did the homework. Please tune into the Friday show and give the guys on Friday this level of interaction, because I'm sure they'll love to chat with you guys about it every week as more information gets
Oh, please, and
revealed.
they will get, like, far more detailed and go down the rabbit
Yeah.
holes, and will probably not go squirrel on Dune or
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever our
Mm,
topic du jour is.
Zendaya's
Yeah.
wardrobe nearly as much as we have.
Yeah. I gotta say, I didn't think it was a big pop culture week this week. The only thing that kept coming across my Instagram was like, I used to work at Tops and they're owned by Fanatics now, and Fanatics just did the baseball uniforms and all the pants are see through. So it's like a hot mess. And I was like, all right, baseball, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's like
You got
so stupid.
the Duncan Funkos this week.
You mean the Dun Kings?
Yes, the Dun Kings.
They got Funko Pops?
Oh, yes.
All right. I'm just gonna say okay to that. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Um, Yeah, that happened. All right, let's talk about what's going on our network. We've
Oh,
already
yeah.
mentioned multiple times what our schedule looks like for the week. We've got the Nerf Herders coming on Wednesday. Why are they covering Disney's The Black Hole? Do we know? I didn't ask the guys, and I forgot to, but like
The
it sounds insane.
mm, the question is sometimes with them is, do we really wanna ask this question because do we wanna know what's going on before it
Like
happens?
some plausible deniability.
Yes,
Here's the thing,
exactly.
those boys put on a show regardless of
Yes.
the topic, and I'm curious as to what the hell they're going to talk about on the black hole. Like that's going to be a wild episode. So tune into the Nerf Herders on Wednesday. Thursday we've got the Bad Batch watch along, episodes 1, 2, and 3, as we've mentioned numerous times, and then of course on Friday the Bad Batch after show. Which, as we were saying, is where you get all your analysis and your deep conversation, and they'll be covering episode 4. They're staying current. And then we've got a new Jedi Archives happening this Sunday, Children of the Storm, Chapter 2, Sins of the Past.
Yeah.
Jedi
Oh,
Archive, you
but
know,
before that, that's not on the watch along show.
yes.
We discovered that earlier.
Yes, not on the schedule this week on Saturday. We have a Blob of the Hut takeover. So this is going to be, you guys know Gary. He actually co-hosted with me as we were getting ready for Celebration and doing a bunch of the news beats. He's doing a special presentation. It's basically a VCN special presentation on Saturday with Spencer. Gary is taking over, and I forget exactly what they're all going to talk about, but it's going to be a lot of fun because I miss Gary. I haven't seen his face in a while here on the network. So he's going to have a whole special thing on Saturday.
Well, and they're talking about the family vacation.
Yeah.
You got to talk about the family vacation and all the things going on with family vacation.
Yes. You
Because
said there's racers. Like, what else is happening?
so razors are going on. There's T-shirt that comes with it. If you buy into the whole deal, you get a T-shirt. There, boom, exclusive design right there for the T-shirt. But if you're on the family vacation right here, July 29th through August 2nd, there are only like less than 20 tickets left. 20 seconds. But you can be, even if you're not on the family vacation, you can get this racer. We love our racers. We love every time we go to a con to be able to
Yeah,
pick
that's really
out
cute.
the virtual Cantina family members in the crowd. And let me tell you, this one is going to stand out in the crowd. If you're going for like some summer cons or something, I mean, what says summer more than like Chewy and board shorts? It's like,
It's I gotta say my favorite of all the things we've done so far is the lockup of the actual vacation logo with the flying
oh, the
car.
flying family truckster.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing with the wings, the X-wing sort of style. So I've got to get something with that. Um, Oh yeah, we should mention real quick, Lonnie, that Pedro Pascal won the SAG award
Oh,
for The
absolutely.
Last of Us, and he was wasted, which was hysterical because he didn't think he was going to win. And then you know how he gets when he's drunk. He just loves everyone. Everyone thought he was flirting with Tan France, so from Queer Eye, and so Tan in his car ride home is doing his recap for the night, and one of his videos was specifically about how he wasn't flirting with Pedro. And I'm like, okay, well now I think you were flirting. I didn't before, but now
Right.
I do.
But now
So
yeah,
yeah, now that he had to
he
say it,
protests too
yeah.
much.
And I'm like, did your husband unfollow you on Instagram for an unrelated reason? No. But no, Pedro was delightful as he always is. He's very charismatic. He's very charming. Everyone loves him. Everyone falls in love with Pedro. Um, so he won for The Last of Us, of course, and like fully lost his words and didn't know what to say. He really thought he was going to lose to not Macaulay Culkin, the other one, Kieran Culkin,
Oh, yeah.
from Secession, which I never watched, but apparently is like the greatest show on
I have
television.
not seen
So
that one either. I saw The
yeah,
Last of Us, but I was like,
it won like every award, the Secession Cruise. So everyone keeps telling me to watch it, and I was like, well, that's usually when I don't watch shows, is when it wins everything, and everyone tells me it's the best show on TV. If I have one more person tell me to watch The Wire, I'm going to throw a chair. So anyway, coming back to what else is happening, the other things we got to
oh yeah,
plug. Um, the Racers, the Blobba Takeover. Oh, Lalani Shu, who is
Tiga the
one of
Jawa.
Yes, one of our good friends here on the network. She's going to be at Batu East with the VCN Florida crew this Sunday. So very exciting there.
Yeah,
Make sure you check her
she's
out.
down, no, she's down there, I think, doing the House of Mouse Expo. There's a big
Oh, how
Disney
fun!
kind of con deal. I think it's a new one. I don't know that it's like a thing. House of Mouse, a bunch of the Disney property people are in. It's where is it? March 2nd and 3rd. The Ocala Osceola, no. It's very small on my screen. Sorry. Osceola Heritage Park Event Center, possibly,
Hmm.
maybe Kissimmee, Florida. Kissimmee,
Oh, nice.
right there at the Diz.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
she'll be hanging out on Batu East when she's not conning, and when she is at the con, be at the con, and go get you a signed Tika
Oh, very
or
cool.
a T16 Skyhopper.
And for just to go back to the family vacation, real quick, we've announced a whole bunch of autograph signers so far. More reveals are coming. I think everyone knows that Chris Bartlett and Lalani and Misty Lee, not Misty Lee, yes,
Roses.
um, Misty Roses. There's also a Misty Lee. Misty Roses. Are all confirmed on Don Dellinger.
Brandon.
There's a few other people, and I'm blanking on everyone's names because I don't have the list in front of me. What we're going to do is put up on the Facebook page a running list of all
Yeah.
of the confirmed autograph signers, because right now that's missing from the event page. So a few people have asked who's all confirmed. It is quite the list, and believe me, we have just gotten started on reveals because we're still like 5 months out. So more
Woo!
coming for sure.
That went weird.
Um, oh, I think you picked the wrong graphic. I am
I
the
did
Hefe
get the
tonight.
wrong
So
graphic. It's like, how that's the way we do.
there we go.
Whatever.
Um, remember, I'm contractually obligated to have a square 10% larger than all the other co-hosts. So, um, I'm trying to. You know what that was? It was that one time Ashley was out, and you and Jeff and Dave all and Spencer. Sorry, spent Jeff and Spencer all came on to co-host, and I was like, I need one of you, and all three of you showed up, and so I got a full size box, and the rest of you
Do
were
the
mini
rest of it
boxes.
like
I was
over
like, what
here.
the hell is this? This is so random. I forget what we were even talking about, but I just kept cracking up over that. And I felt like I was on one of those game shows where I was like the host, and you three were the contestants. It was very silly. We have a good
There
group
we
here.
go. That was what we were looking for. That is the graphic that I was trying to switch over to, but it's in a different brand. Is the
Which one is?
Pam Riddle and Warren? I can't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Spencer,
Pam and Warren.
we're gonna
Nelson. 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 Yeah.
we're gonna add all this to the Facebook page so everyone can see the running list. And there will be more news related to this later in the year with details on everyone, pricing and other information about them in maybe another show popping up a little bit later. So that'll be
I
fun.
wonder what that
What
could be.
what could that be? Who could that be? Yeah. So
Mm.
keep an eye out for that. A lot's happening on the network. I'm just excited to be in Bad Batch territory. And then, as we know, Acolyte happens in June. So
Well,
as soon
and
as
and
as soon as we're
my
done with
my
Bad
level of
Batch, it's
take
like,
on the thing is if you've got comments, questions, things that you want to know about Star Wars Celebration coming up, if you want to know things about the family vacation, the best place to do that is live with us on Tuesdays.
yeah.
Is like jump on the Zoom.
Hmm.
Like, there's generally a bunch of us there and only one of us bites. So, it'll be fine. Just
Yeah.
come on.
Tuesdays are pretty chill. I never make it back home in time from my various activities. Um, but yeah, the Tuesday happy hours are good. I miss them. Sherry brings up a good point. Hayden is on the circuit, and this
Yes.
Indiana Comic Con, I keep hearing
Indianapolis
about.
is looking pretty cool.
Yeah, what the hell is happening there? So,
Oh,
um,
and Richmond. Richmond is coming up this month. GalaxyCon Richmond is huge Star Wars lineup.
see,
Steve and
this
I
is
are
what we
rolling
also
out.
need to add to the page. How we get a list of not just like so cons that have a lot
Yeah.
of Star Wars guests that we should keep a focus on, like focus cons, right? Like
Mhm.
Indiana matters, Richmond matters, because there's a con happening every day in every city
Everywhere.
across America. But like, here's the one that you should be paying attention to because there's a good number of Star Wars people going, and maybe there's a VCN meetup potentially. Like,
Oh yeah.
I feel like we need to like start carving that out on the page through something. So we do have an events director. Her name is Kathy. I'll chat with her about that. Um, yeah, and that way people can get their merch ready and everything.
You
Um,
suck, Spencer.
yeah.
Right
So,
there.
so
This
what's going on with this, Dave? What's happening with this helmet?
Carson Tiva Paulie is going to be at GalaxyCon Richmond. And I was looking for something to get signed and just going, oh, maybe I'll have to there's not a Black Series, there's a thing. Spencer's like, there's a helmet.
There is a helmet.
No, there's not. Yeah, there's.
Yeah, it's like $150 or something, right? It's a Black Series.
Yeah,
Hasbro. Yeah.
yeah.
It's. I gotta say, it's a beautiful helmet. I wanted to do a replica Denuo, but like, there's no point. Like, I think the Black
Well,
Series
you
is
guys
perfectly
have
fine.
the paint your own
Yeah.
now that anybody can make whichever one of these they want.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go, I think, for the
Yeah.
cosplayer is like, and then you don't have to listen to everybody complain about, well, it wasn't exactly the little details. No, you have to make your own details.
Yeah, make your
Yeah,
own damn details. Those customizables are selling very well,
yeah.
and I would like to do more customizables in different helmet types. So imagine like a Mando, where because
Mhm.
I want to paint mine like a Lothcat. I think I've said that numerous times.
Yeah.
So that would be my signet too. Like I would do
And
like
your Mando, you got to do like figure out how you can add pieces and take away pieces so it's
yeah.
like changes the shape.
Yes, and the sides, the ears, and
Hmm.
there's a key lock thing in the back, and the antenna or no antenna. And then the visor shape largely stays the same, but like there's a few different things that you can really take in and out to make it more
Right.
customizable, and still offer all the
You
different
might even be able
pieces.
to like put something in the T visor to like owl eye it or whatever.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It's like,
'Cause I would love some actual ears. If I want to be a loth cat, I want like not devil horns the way that like the Sith ones have it, like
uh-huh.
the Darth Maul supporters, but I do like the idea of some cat ears. So I still keep saying I got to put cat ears on my headset. That's long overdue.
That would be
Yeah,
hilarious.
Lothcat Commandos. Yeah, look, I'm Clan Lothcat and have been for a while. So, I believe me, Spencer, about the clone. I don't even want to look at another clone trooper helmet. Like the clone trooper one nearly broke me, like because it was rendered and we had to turn it into live action. But we have that mold, so it's possible we'll do another one. But I'm not itching to do it anytime soon. Every now and then there's something that's like the gross to grief ratio is just off.
Yeah.
That one is
Well, and
off.
like what kind of cool would be like a blank Sabine helmet.
Yeah, like that exactly kind of thing where, we give you that exact mold or something. We are working on the season 4 and then we'll probably do one other one. To that way if you wanted to do her finale look or something, like we'd have that as an option. Um, yeah, we also just don't have enough women's wear. That's just like part of it too. Like most of the helmeted characters are men. Um, I would also love a crosshair helmet. I don't think we're going to do anything Bad Batch in my space. I think there are other licensees that make a better fit for Bad Batch than
There's
than
a
mine.
really nice, I don't even know if it's any official whatever, how that is. But
Yeah,
there's a really nice crosshair one that is available on the interwebs.
I have seen numerous um, pirates and 3D files available
Mhm.
for Bad Batch helmets, for Ahsoka helmets. I mean, from the Ahsoka show, like
Yeah,
helmets
yeah.
that were in the Ahsoka show, and other live action projects recently. And in fact, I may have downloaded a couple just to check them out. And some of them are really far off from where they need to be for uh, accuracy, and then
Right.
some are really good. And that's the scary part is the ones that are really good. And I'm like, how the hell did they get this close? Like, what's your inside loop on this? Like, but it is the wild west out there in terms of people being able to make their own. Now, if you want to make yourself one helmet, have at it. But if you want to make more than one and sell it, Disney will have a problem with that, and I think
Yeah, that's
that's
the
the
kind of
issue.
thing. Is
Yeah.
if you're doing there and you're making your armor, like I'm sitting here with the 3D printing program and like, like the videos on pause over here, and I'm, let's tweak it,
Yep.
add that shape, trying to make my own Mando armor.
Yeah, of course, and that makes sense. Now, if you were setting up an Etsy shop and trying to like sell parts and pieces, n-
Yeah,
the
no,
official company
no.
would have
You
issues
got
with that.
me. Well,
Yeah.
the company would have a
Listen,
problem.
Lori, it's
I,
got to
as an
be
artist, have a problem with that
yes.
because the, that's an intellectual property that a designer that like Doug Chang or somebody did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Sherry, this big list of people, where are they going?
I think that might be Indiana.
Is that Indiana? It's
It
amazing.
might be.
John Cleese. That's really random. Yeah, Tim. Look, I love Timothy's on. Look, everyone on that list is almost everyone on that list is great. Um, I, I said everyone, and then I had to clarify. Almost everyone on that list is awesome. So I hope everyone goes to Indiana and has a great time meeting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 6 people. So, um, yeah, enjoy yourself at that con. Uh, okay, I think we hit all of our plugs for tonight. I think we did a good job covering the Bad Batch and the
Yeah.
first 3 episodes and setting up, what we think is going to be happening in the next few months. Remember, the show takes us all the way through February 1st, so we still have all of March and all of April to go
Yeah,
through
this isn't one of
Bad
those
Batch.
eight episode deals. This is 15, 16 episodes.
Yeah, yeah, 15 over the course of like 12 weeks. So it is a nice long time. We'll have plenty of time to digest it, to talk about it. So make sure you stay with us on the network and check out all of the um, all the content that we're putting out. Yeah, it takes us all the way through May 1st. So yeah, all right. I think that's everything for this week. Dave, any other closing thoughts or anything?
Like I said, is just stay tuned to the network. As come back when the Rebels Revisited does their wrap up of this sometime around May the
Mhm.
4th, in that neighborhood, and see how wrong we were.
Yeah. I think
That's
what we're gonna do on that Monday, which is like April 30th or whatever it is,
Mhm.
we'll probably do an all hands VCN host thing that we've done to do a Bad Batch wrap up for all
Yeah.
the shows. Kind of like what we did with Ahsoka, and sort of take off that Monday because it's going to be a busy week with May the 4th happening. So we'll do something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
there's lots of
Yeah.
crazy May the 4th things like
Yeah.
going on,
Wild.
and it's Free Comic Book Day on May the 4th.
Oh, that's stupid. Why are we lining those things up? Yeah. All right.
It's first
Well,
Saturday in May every year. That's Free
ugh,
Comic Book Day.
that's so dumb. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you before May the 4th. Hopefully, we'll see you all week on the network to all things Bad Batch. And don't forget to come back to Rebels Revisited. Ashley will be back next week, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. And thank you guys again. And may the Force be with you.
This is the way.